Please, Mr. Blake, don't go upstairs. Maya Williams stood barefoot on the stone porch, trembling with a fear that had nothing to do with the chilly Boston morning. Her hands were raised, not in aggression, but in desperate plea. Behind her, the front door to Ethan Blake's mansion stood open like a wound. What do you do when the person who works for you suddenly blocks your path to your own home? What could possibly be upstairs that's so terrible, even she's afraid to let you see it? Stay with me. What happens next will break your heart and restore your faith in humanity. Ethan Blake had built his mansion as a fortress against the chaos of his high-powered career. Investment executive, corner office, decisions worth millions made before breakfast. The Boston estate was supposed to be his refuge. Marble floors that echoed with peace. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking manicured gardens. A place where the weight could finally lift. But refuge requires presence, and Ethan was rarely present. His wife, Catherine, knew the pattern. Business trips stretching from days into weeks. Video calls to the kids squeezed between conference calls. Anniversary dinners rescheduled 3 times before being forgotten entirely. The distance had been growing for years. That slow erosion where success breeds isolation and nobody notices until the foundation cracks. Maya Williams had worked for the Blake family for 5 years. Reliable, efficient, invisible in the way good help is supposed to be. She cleaned the rooms, managed a household, existed in the background of their lives without complaint or drama. Ethan respected her professionalism. That's all he knew about her. That's all he thought he needed to know. The San Francisco trip had been brutal. A week of hostile negotiations that left him exhausted and hollowed out. Wednesday afternoon, something shifted. He couldn't remember the last time he'd surprised his family with an early return. The flight back felt different. He imagined his kids' excitement. Catherine's surprised smile. Maybe they'd order pizza, watch a movie, pretend normalcy for an evening. The mansion as he remembered it. Order, peace, safety. Everything in its place. Everything as it should be. Have you ever come home expecting one thing and walked into something that changed everything? Ethan's key was in his hand when the door opened, and Maya stood there, barefoot and terrified. Something was wrong immediately. Maya's appearance, hair disheveled, face pale, eyes red-rimmed and swollen. She never looked like this. Never unprofessional, never emotional, never anything but composed. Her body blocked the entrance. Deliberately, protectively. Please, Mr. Blake, don't go upstairs. Ethan's confusion sharpened into irritation. Maya, were you? I live here. I know, sir. Her voice cracked. But please, trust me. He moved a step past her. She moved with him, staying in his path. Maya, I'm tired. I want to see my family. Move aside. I can't do that, sir. The desperation in her voice stopped him. Not the words, the raw fear underneath them. Physical fear, like someone standing between him and an oncoming train. Where's Catherine? Where are my kids? Tears spilled down Maya's cheeks. They're safe. But you're not ready to... Not ready to what? His voice rose. This is my house. You work for me. What gives you the right? I'm trying to protect you, sir. The words came out fierce and broken simultaneously. Something is terribly wrong inside. They stood in standoff on the stone porch. A neighbor walking a dog slowed, watching the strange scene. Powerful executive blocked from his own home by his maid. Ethan's mind raced through possibilities. Intruder? Accident? Emergency? But Maya's fear wasn't about danger. It was about him. Fear for him, not of him. He saw in her eyes the things she knew and he didn't. The knowledge weighing on her like stones. Tell me, he said quietly. Right now, tell me what's happening. Maya's body seemed to collapse inward. She'd been holding this alone for hours, and the weight was crushing her. Your wife. She couldn't finish. Started again. Your wife. She's not alone upstairs. Comment below. Would you listen to warning or push past? What would you do? The words didn't compute at first. Not alone. What did that mean? Then understanding hit like cold water. What do you mean not alone? Maya's tears fell faster. There's a man with her, sir. The world tilted. Sound became distant. His vision narrowed to Maya's face. The genuine anguish there. The truth he didn't want to believe. You're lying. His voice sounded far away. You must be wrong. I wish I was, sir. Maya's whisper carried more weight than shouting. I arrived early this morning. Wanted to prepare the house for your return. I heard voices, sobbing. I went upstairs and... She couldn't continue. Didn't need to. Ethan's rage ignited. He moved toward the door with purpose. Maya stepped in front of him again, this time her hands on his chest. A boundary crossed, but necessary. Please don't. Not like this. You're angry. You're hurt. Think about your children. The mention of his kids froze in mid-step. Where are they? With your mother. I called her 2 hours ago. Told her there was an emergency. They're safe, sir. I made sure of that first. The realization crashed over him. Maya had been managing this crisis alone, thinking steps ahead while his world exploded, protecting everyone, his kids from witnessing, his mother-in-law from panic, and him from walking into devastation unprepared. How long have you been standing here? Waiting for me? Since I made the call. 3 hours. 3 hours. Standing guard. Dreading this moment, but staying anyway. His instinct screamed to run upstairs, confront, explode. To catch them, to see it with his own eyes, to destroy something, anything, to match the destruction inside him. But Maya stood there, this woman who owed him nothing beyond housekeeping, who had every reason to stay silent, avoid involvement, let him discover it himself. She chose differently. The truth is upstairs, she said softly. But you can't take back what you do next. Think first. Please. Ethan collapsed onto the porch steps. His mansion, his fortress, had become a crime scene of trust. The years scrolled through his mind like accusatory footage. The business trips, the distance, the conversations about later, that never came. The anniversary he forgot, the recital he missed, the gradual erosion disguised as ambition. Had he driven her to this? Did it matter? Both things could be true. He'd failed and she betrayed. Pain didn't cancel pain. Maya sat beside him, not speaking, just present. The gift of not being alone in the worst moment. I need to go up there. His voice hollow. I need to. And do what, sir? Maya's hand touched his arm gently. What happens after? You scream? Fight? Say things you can't unsay? Then what? You think I should just walk away? I think you should think, for 5 minutes, about what you really want. The question cut through rage like a knife. What did he want? Confrontation? Revenge? Understanding? The satisfaction of catching them? Or something else entirely? His children's faces filled his mind. Their confusion. Their pain. Their future shaped by how he handled the next hour. Maya's voice was quiet. I've watched you build an empire, sir. Don't destroy yourself in 5 minutes of anger. The intimacy of this moment struck him. An employee seeing her employer at his most broken, yet treating him with more care than anyone else had in years. Why are you doing this? He asked. Why do you care? Maya was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried old pain. My husband cheated on me. 7 years ago. I confronted him in a rage. Said things I can never take back. Destroyed him, destroyed myself. Lost him and my dignity in the same night. Ethan turned to look at her. Really look at her. What happened after? I rebuilt. Slowly. But I've always wished I'd handled that moment differently. Wished someone had stopped me long enough to think. How did I not know that about you? Because I was your maid, sir, not your friend. She met his eyes. Until today. If you've ever had someone save you from your worst impulses, hit that like button. Subscribe for stories about unexpected heroes. Ethan went upstairs 20 minutes later, not with rage, but with the devastating calm Maya had helped him find. She waited downstairs, heart pounding, praying she'd done the right thing. The confrontation was private, painful, but different than it would have been. Ethan didn't explode, didn't destroy. He spoke with a dignity that hurt more than shouting ever could. He asked Catherine to leave, told the man to go, maintain control because Maya had bought him time to choose who he'd be in this moment. The hours that followed blurred together. Lawyer calls, arrangements, the machinery of ending a marriage set in motion. Maya stayed, hours past her shift, managing household normalcy while chaos reigned, preparing the guest room, coordinating with his mother about the children, becoming the operational backbone of crisis management. Evening came. Ethan emerged from his study to find Maya still in the kitchen. "Why are you still here?" "Because I was worried about you, sir." The simplicity of it, the genuine care. He felt something crack open inside his chest. They sat at the kitchen island, not employer and employee, but two humans who'd survived something terrible. "You saved me today," Ethan said, "not from what happened upstairs, from who I could have become." "You saved yourself." Maya's smile was sad. "I just bought you time to think. You risked your job. You crossed every professional boundary." "Why?" "Because you're not just my employer, sir. You're a father, a person, and I couldn't let you destroy yourself." His eyes filled. "Call me Ethan. You've earned that." Weeks became months. Divorce proceedings, custody arrangements, the painful dismantling of a life. Maya remained steady throughout, not overstepping, but always there, helping him find words to explain to his children, maintaining structure when everything else was chaos. The mansion transformed, less fortress, more home, because someone inside it cared about the man, not just a paycheck. His kids asked for Maya when they were hurt, sought her advice, called her Aunt Maya. Lines blurred beautifully. 6 months later, Ethan's life looked completely different. The divorce was finalized, painful but necessary. Joint custody established, his relationship with his children stronger than it had ever been. He came home earlier now, was present when he was there, actually lived in his life instead of visiting it between flights. Maya's role had evolved into something neither of them could quite name. She still worked for him, but the relationship had transformed beyond employment. Family dinners included her. His kids did homework at the kitchen table while she cooked, asking her questions about everything. She'd become part of the fabric of their lives in a way that felt essential. Ethan reflected often on what had changed, not just his marriage ending, his entire perspective shifting. He understood now that titles and salaries don't measure worth. Maya had no obligation to protect him that morning, could have stayed silent, let him discover the betrayal himself. She chose compassion over comfort. His previous life felt like sleepwalking. He'd valued the wrong things, missed what mattered, built walls that kept out the people who could actually reach him. The mansion felt different now, warmer, because authentic connection lived inside it. Maya's impact rippled outward. Ethan treated all his staff differently, seeing them as people, not functions. His business dealings became infused with more humanity. His children learned from her example. Loyalty, courage, kindness that cost something. One evening, sitting on that same porch where everything had changed, Ethan said, "Thank you for saving me that day." Maya's response was simple. "Thank you for letting me." The acknowledgement hung between them. Some bonds form in crisis, but they last because they're forged in truth. Maya didn't just save Ethan from a bad decision. She saved him from becoming someone he'd never recover from being. Here's the truth Maya taught Ethan that morning on the porch. Salvation comes from the most unexpected places. We spend our lives building walls, titles, positions, professional boundaries. We protect ourselves from vulnerability, from being truly seen, from the messiness of authentic connection. But those same walls keep out the people who could save us. Maya crossed a line that day, violated every employer-employee boundary in existence, risked her job, her livelihood, her professional reputation. She did it anyway because she saw a human being in crisis. Not her boss, not a paycheck, a person who needed protecting from himself. We judge worth by titles and paychecks. Maya was just a maid until she became his guardian, but she was always worthy. Ethan just hadn't seen it, hadn't looked closely enough to see the person behind the function. So ask yourself, who are you not seeing? Whose worth are you measuring by their position instead of their character? Who might save you if you let them close enough to matter? Ethan had everything: money, power, success. None of it protected him from betrayal. None of it saved him from his worst impulses. That came from someone he'd barely known. Someone who earned minimum wage but gave maximum care. True strength isn't avoiding vulnerability. It's allowing people in despite the risk. It's accepting help from unexpected sources. It's recognizing that we all need saving sometimes. The mansion is different now, not because of renovations, but because the walls came down, not the physical ones, the ones around Ethan's heart. Maya didn't just protect him that day. She taught him how to be human again. Sometimes we don't need a hero in shining armor. We just need someone brave enough to stand in our path when we're about to make the worst mistake of our lives. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment, who's been your unexpected guardian? And subscribe. We're telling stories about the heroes hiding in plain sight.